I'm Rosemary, and why wouldn't I be smiling when I've got an array of chocolate in front of me? Now, this may be the last in this series of recipes and foodie chats for St Magnus Cathedral during Lent 2021. And if it is, well, what a brilliant way to go out with a chocolate tasting of ethical chocolates. Now, if you decided that you'd like to join in, and you did in fact get the chocolates that we told you about at the end of last week's honey ice cream video, then this is the order that you need to have them ready to taste in front of you. We'll be starting with the Little Bar, the Peruvian one, then going on to the Divine Chocolate, and then we shall be tasting the Seed and Bean, then the Cox & Co, and finally we will end up with the chocolate from Love Cocoa. And I'm going to be joined in this by Jill Smee, who is the secretary of the Orkney Fair Trade Group. And she's got lots to tell us about all the different standards that are involved in chocolate production and ethically sourcing cocoa for chocolate. So, without more ado, I must apologise a little bit because the quality of the recording isn't brilliant. Jill lives in Durness in the middle of nowhere, and I live in the middle of nowhere in Grimness. So it's not professional quality, but it's lickably good, I hope. So we're just starting off, and we start with Jill and I sniffing and thinking about our first chocolate, which is the Lidl. She doesn't know that yet, but if you want to join in, that's what you need to have in your hand.
Yeah,
Okay.
and this one is a 60% cocoa solid, so it's got a lovely smell.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, and if we were judging this, we'd snap it.
Right.
Because you get a really good sort of snap with a high cocoa solid.
So you do.
So there's a lovely aroma on this.
Yes.
It's quite nice and earthy. And you've no idea what it is unless you recognise the pattern on it. But if we were doing this properly, we'd let it melt on our tongue.
Mm.
And it's actually quite bad form when you're judging to chew it. But, you know, we are going to lose a lot of friends if we make this last too long.
Mm.
Really nice. It's dry and quite earthy, but quite fruity as well.
It is.
Concentrates the mind, doesn't it? Just sort of slurping away at chocolate.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting flavours in there.
Yeah. Do you like it?
I do.
Do you think it tastes expensive? Slightly weird question.
Well, it tastes like a quality chocolate. I mean, you can tell that it's got plenty cocoa solids in it.
It's 60%, and actually this, of course, is a fair trade one, but it's Lidl's JD Goss. It's there.
Oh gosh, is it?
Yep, 60% cocoa solids, and you will love it because there it is, the fair trade logo.
Well, that's impressive because I mean, Lidl's have a good range of fair trade chocolate.
They do, yeah.
They really do. Some of it I haven't particularly liked the taste of myself. It's a really personal thing, but this one I do. This one I would certainly buy.
And of course, how long have you been involved with fair trade, Jill?
Well, I mean, I've bought fair trade for years, probably since the label started 26 years or more ago, but without really thinking that hard or knowing that much until the Orkney Group was set up in 2011.
Right, okay, so I thought it might have been a bit older than that, so it's your 10th anniversary.
Yeah, it's coming up to, yes.
Fantastic party. Well, of course, nobody can plan a party, but I'm sure once you can, you will do something special.
Yes, I think we'll wait till we don't have to do it online, maybe.
Yeah.
People like to have them Zoom.
As a group, you know, within the Highlands and Islands group, which I know a few people down Inverness way, the Orkney Group is regarded as fantastically innovative and, you know, really energetic in what you do.
Yeah, thank you. It's good to hear that. We've had some very good links with the Aberdeen group as well.
Yeah.
Who are they're also quite go ahead and have given us quite a bit of support actually from the early days, which was nice.
Yeah, fantastic. Right, well, let's taste our second chocolate. Are you up for that?
Oh.
Now, when I actually asked you to do this, it sounded to me a bit as though you had kind of a preference for filled chocolates rather than bean to bar, which is my favourite. So I've tried to select some bars which are really quite flavoured, and this is one of them. So this is sample number B, or sample B. It's much smaller, and it's not as dry on the nose. I can't find anything on this product that tells me how much cocoa is in it, and it certainly doesn't have that big earthy hit that the Peruvian chocolate had.
No, quite powdery.
Are you okay with nuts, Jill?
Yes.
Praise the Lord, because this has got hazelnuts in it.
Yes, no, I'm okay, allergy free, fortunately. Doesn't have the snap, does it?
No, it's definitely a lower cocoa mass, but it's dark, and as it melts, there's a lovely flavour of toasted hazelnut.
Yeah, if you like toasted hazelnut, that is gorgeous. But I'm not getting so much chocolate.
No, well, that's always the balance, isn't it? You know, you put a filling in and you drop the cocoa solids down. But, I love whiskey. We haven't talked about whiskey, but with whiskey tasting, you talk about the finish. And this has got a lovely finish. That's really quite lingering.
It's very nice, and it's not oily.
No. So this is from Divine. Again, you know, a fair trade. Where's my camera? Fair trade, but in black and white, not the coloured logo, but it's there. And I was really intrigued because they've now added a medallion saying empowering women.
Oh, good. Right.
I have followed this company since very early days. And it's basically the vast majority of the cocoa in Divine Chocolate comes from Ghana, with a little bit from Sao Tome. The chocolate is actually made in Germany, but it's all about empowering the women farmers so that they can improve their lot, but also the lot of their children. And I guess that this is a message you find an awful lot within the fair trade movement.
Oh, hugely, yes. And there's such a bit in West Africa, Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire specifically. You know, that's where the major issues are around child labour.
Yes,
slavery and in fact child trafficking into Cote d'Ivoire for the cocoa industry. So, you know, there are some campaigners who argue that you shouldn't buy cocoa from West Africa at all because it's so difficult to be confident, even with fair trade chocolate, that you haven't got child labour in the production process. But I think it's so important that there are companies like Divine that are in there working to address it.
Yes.
Just turning their backs and abandoning it.
Yeah. And in fact, in the very early days, I can't find it on the wrapper at the moment, and this is the Divine deliciously dark, smooth hazelnut. But in the early days, one of the things that really interested me about this was the fact that some of the finance to get it started came from the Body Shop Foundation.
Yes.
And I used to have a delicatessen in Sussex years ago, near Littlehampton, where the Body Shop was, and Anita Roddick was a customer of ours. And it was always good for a 15-minute chat on a Saturday about putting the world to rights. But when fair trade became really big in the supermarket, I did ask her what she thought about it. And of course, she was all for it in terms of getting the message out. There has been a lot of sort of debate over it over the years. What's your gut feeling, Jill?
It's difficult. I mean, we tend, certainly in Orkney Fair Trade Group, we're very passionate about our local shops and supporting local as well as fair trade. So we tend not to promote the supermarkets, other than the co-op, which of course supplies a lot of our, particularly the island shops.
Yes.
And the small Doonby co-op. But we tend not to promote the supermarkets. But I think on a, speaking out with Orkney, it's a constant challenge, this, whether you work with the big boys or not.
Yes.
Because if you don't, you are just not going to have the reach or opportunity. And the supermarkets can tread a path between ensuring that there's decent pay for the producer, and at the same time that they're keeping the costs down for consumers. And for a lot of people, that's still quite challenging in this country.
Yeah.
The great thing about Divine, of course, is that it's so widely available.
Yes, absolutely. But I think we should try chocolate C.
Yes,
now.
ready for that one?
Yeah, again, quite a high cocoa solid. Not well, we don't know what the Divine was, but we basically had Peruvian cocoa, Ghanaian cocoa, and now we're going to the Dominican Republic.
Ah, right.
And this is a 58%. Very earthy on the nose, isn't it?
It is quite sharp as well, though.
Yeah, well, that could be down to filling, because this is another flavoured bar.
Right.
And yeah,
good snap. Yeah,
nice snap. Yeah. Well, I love your snap. So we're going to have to do a bit of crunching, I think, to get this going. Now this is lemon and cardamom.
Lemon and
cardamom.
Oh, cardamom. Oh, so it is,
isn't it?
Oh, I got the lemon first. And then the cardamom.
That, like anything cardamom, it's very palate cleansing, but the lemon is making my mouth water. And I'm really liking what's going on.
That's lovely. But you do, there's a good chocolate taste with that as well.
So this is
from... Oh, there, that's seed and bean. Ah!
So that carries your Fair Trade logo on it as well, very proudly. Now, I know I've seen seed and bean locally. I think in Shearers.
Yes. So I think so too.
Might have been in Kirkness and Gorrie, I'm not sure. But they
possibly even the Brig Larder. They carry interesting chocolate sometimes.
Yes, indeed.
But yes, I wish that was seed and bean were more often more available locally, because they are. It's a lovely chocolate. That is very nice.
And it's also a vegan one.
Yes.
So, there's a lot of vegan and dairy-free chocolates coming through now. But I've had their sea salt, Cornish sea salt and lime as well, which was very nice. But that was more of a milk chocolate. So knowing your penchant for higher cocoa.
I'm a plain sort of girl.
But those three that we've tasted to date have all proudly borne the Fair Trade logo. But one of the problems in choosing responsibly made chocolate is that so many people are going off and doing their own thing. And there are many different accreditations.
Well, that's absolutely right, Rosemary. It is. It's a minefield. And when you say, ethically sourced, you really, I actually did do a little bit of research about some of the different chocolate companies that we might be looking at. And it's very hard. Fair trade are certainly moving a lot faster now on environmental issues, and I mean, yeah, that's right. They have needed to be.
Yeah.
And that's, I think there's certainly much more guarantee that you're going to find environmental issues being addressed with the fair trade label than there might have been in the past.
Yes.
The Rainforest Alliance have been the leader on that, but unfortunately, in terms of chocolate, they do not do anything about the low incomes for the producers, and that is a critical issue. And on a scale, it's a critical issue environmentally as well, because if folk are not making a decent living, then they will be exhausting land, clearing land, and moving on.
Yeah, absolutely, and looking for higher profitability crops. Yeah, it is very difficult because the next chocolate, with only 2 more to go, Jill, are you okay?
Well, I can bear it because I've only been eating tiny pieces, so I've got all these leftovers.
And
so
Chris knows what you're doing.
I'm going to be okay, and I'm lining them up as my favourites. Yes, lining them up in order.
Right. So, D. Oh, big cocoa hit.
Big hit, yes.
Yeah. Now we're staying in Central America, and this is a Colombian cocoa. This one has got 1 star in the Great Taste Awards, which is a very reputable and it's a good marker, really. Again, it's flavoured.
Oh,
it's flavoured in a very trendy way, Jill.
Yes, I'm going to struggle. I think it's so trendy, I'm not going to know what that is.
Well, the packaging will give you a clue. It's bee pollen
and honey. My goodness.
Honey. Well, bee pollen is incredibly strong, and it's giving it that slightly granular texture like cocoa nibs give to chocolate.
Yes, it is. I've just caught a piece of that.
But again, on the finish, it's quite an earthy chocolate. It's sort of deep, fruity, almost tobacco-y flavours, but which is wonderful.
Yeah, quite smoky. It was what distracted me from the idea of it being honey.
But if you lick around sort of down at the bottom of your bottom jaw, where the pollen is sitting, there's such a huge honey hit. But actually,
there is in the pollen. Wow. Whose make is that?
Cox & Co.
Oh, that's Cox & Co.
Yeah.
That's a very small producer, isn't it?
It is. And all their cocoa comes from the Luca cocoa estate or cooperative. So they don't have the fair trade logo, but they're going that step further where they're originating their cocoa.
Yes. And sometimes, sometimes they may be paying a farm gate price that's higher than the fair trade premium. We just don't know, of course, unless you've got transparency around that.
That's a huge flavour in the mouth.
Tremendous, yeah.
Let's finish off with chocolate E. Now, this is 71% chocolate, cocoa solids rather. And the thing is, this is Colombian again, so it's the same country of origin as Cox & Co, but you're going to know immediately what's in this.
It's a lighter smell.
Yes, it is lighter, but this is flavoured with English mint. And the mint in this is a strain that was grown originally in Mitcham in Surrey. There were huge mint fields, and this traces the mint back to there.
Gosh.
and it's you know, there's mint and mint, just like there's chocolate and chocolate, and this is immense. This isn't going to be like an after 8, Jill.
Well, I hope not.
They were exciting in their time, remember?
Oh gosh, yeah, weren't they?
It's very smooth, very silky chocolate. I have silenced you.
I'm just enjoying it.
Now,
It's
because
most meltable of them all.
Now, because I'm basically a food writer who loves to drink, I'm intrigued by this, because on the back of the packet it says, pair this with beer, something dark and smoky. I have to say, if you're a whiskey drinker, it would probably go with an Islay malt, or if you're thinking Highland Park, it would probably go with Dragon Legend, I think it's called, or with fresh mint tea. And you can imagine that a synthetic mint, well, not a synthetic mint tea, but, you know, a mint tea bag would just lose itself compared to this.
That's a lovely aftertaste. That's really...
It's super, isn't it?
Gorgeous.
This comes from Love Cocoa. And this has no fair trade logo on it at all. But it says it's slave-free, plastic-free, no palm oil, single origin, and eco packaging. But it also says for every bar sold, or 1 bar equals 1 tree. So for every bar of chocolate that's sold, 1 tree is planted. And it says actually in here, the world's biggest producer of cocoa is the Côte d'Ivoire, and they lost 85% of their forests between 1990 and 2015. So again, it's kind of that balance. But I think one of the most interesting things about this is made by James Cadbury, who is the great grandson of James Cadbury, who started Cadbury's. So this is ringing bells for you, I can tell.
Yes, it is. I had a good look at their website. Yes. And met him there, indeed.
Aha! Yes, yes.
Yes, and they are clear about not about where their provenance is. That they do work with just a very small group of producers in Colombia.
Yes, yeah. I think one of the issues for small chocolate producers is that the heroes will come and go, and really having a label or an accreditation like Fair Trade will always give, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? It will give continuity. Well, Jill, that has just been such fun to actually have a good chat with you, and to really congratulate you and the rest of the Orkney Fair Trade gang on your successful Fair Trade fortnight. I think you're all a bit shattered now.
It's a bit all zoomed out. Yes.
But also just to explore chocolate with you, and you know, to taste and get your enthusiasm, because as I say, chocolate is a food of love. Fair Trade is moving other things on. You know, we can move on from tea and coffee and you know, chocolate, and I know you've recently got a wonderful gold mark established, so, and I understand that's moving into silver as well. Yes. You know, why should a token of love be collected in such a dreadful way?
Yeah, Yeah.
and often with child labour involved in that in very dangerous circumstances.
And the same, unfortunately, with gemstones.
Yes, yes, that will come as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what are you going to finish off with? I don't know, just to
Oh.
cleanse my palates. I'm going to go back to the Peruvian because that was the biggest piece, I think. It's funny. We both really enjoyed that. And as a Monday to Wednesday chocolate, I think that's perfectly acceptable. But it's terribly two-dimensional after some of the others.
Isn't it?
But it's an incredible price. It's only just over.
It is. It's fantastic value, Lidl's fair trade chocolate. It really is absolutely super. So, I mean, all credit to them for that.
Yeah. Well, Jill, thank you so much. And I'm going to stop recording now. And it's just been wonderful to chat with you. And thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you for the chocolate.